Thank you again. Next up, we have Mr. Trey McGuire. He is the founder and president of everywarrior.org. Prior to 2014, Trey McGuire began noticing a trend, and that trend was unacceptable to him. He started noticing that our warriors were alone. Something was missing. There was a hole, and that was something that he set to fill. Family became his organization's identity, and he believes that things that are our greatest holes, our greatest pains, our greatest missteps, our greatest issues can be the greatest tools that we could ever be given. His belief has grown into a cause that is helping warriors understand that their own personal experiences are not just what has happened to them, but rather what prepares them to use their God-given abilities to influence their world around them. Here to share his message today is Mr. Trey McGuire. Let's give him a big Team Eglin welcome to Mr. Trey McGuire.
What's up, guys? Y'all are, first and foremost, y'all are intimidating. Not gonna lie, y'all are an intimidating crowd. I want y'all to get to know me a little bit and let me embarrass myself from the very beginning. Watch this video. Fun fact. Oh, I went out. Fun fact. That video right there made America's Funniest Home Videos. Thanks to my wife. She posted it, sent it in, all that. That was 2017-ish, I think. Y'all can go to the next slide. That was, oh, not that one. That one. Perfect. That was roughly 17, 18, I think. I can't remember. I was passed out. I don't remember it. I just know enough to know I will never do that again to save my life. I was sick for about 2 weeks after that. This in a flight suit, no. And at 7Gs, not happening. The Barksdale Air Force Base First Sergeants nominated me for that during our air show, and I was blessed enough to get the honor. But yeah, if anybody ever does that again, I will give the honor to somebody else, gladly. So, my name is Trey. I do have the honor today of talking to you guys. First and foremost, thank you so much to each and every person who's organized this. I come from Shreveport, Bossier, Louisiana. Anybody in here been stationed at Barksdale? Awesome, awesome, awesome. I've never heard people cheer about that. Cool. Anybody here heard of our organization, everywarrior.org? Sweet. A couple people, a few. I like that. That means our marketing is working slowly but surely. But I don't want people to know us by our marketing. I want people to know us by the difference that we make in the lives of people. About 7 years ago, 2014-ish, 2015, we started a nonprofit organization called everywarrior.org, and our hope and our goal is to take care of service members. We are centered in and around Barksdale Air Force Base in Northwest Louisiana. You could call it the armpit of the country. Not necessarily Barksdale, but kind of Northwest Louisiana. It's either icy, about once a year, or it's blazing hot. And it's not hot like in the desert, it's hot like in humid, and you feel as if you're gonna sweat just by walking outside. I know that we're sitting on the beach right now, so it probably doesn't even compare to that, but it's a good place to live. I've lived there my entire life, which is how I started getting to know a lot of young airmen. You can look at me and tell that I've probably never served a day in my life in the military, but I'm usually the only chubby guy with the beard in the room, but thanks to Jason Barnshaw, wherever he is and his awesome beard, I'm not today. So shout out to that. We get to are a team of about 6 people, volunteers who help us support, connect, equip, and mobilize the very core of Every Warrior. That is the point of what we do. I'm not here today to talk about what we do, but that's just a plug right there. You can go to our website, everywarrior.org, check that out. You can go to the App Store, you can download our mobile app. We want to help make sure you're taken care of. And today, I'm going to tell you why we want to help make sure that you are taken care of. That picture right there. I love the animal theme that we've already got going on here. Not sure if the other 4 are going to have anything to do with animals or not, but if not, cool. If so, you might want to go find one that means something to you. But the bison, you may have heard this little old wives' tale, but it is true. If you are out there watching as a herd of bison out in Wyoming or the plains or whatever, as a storm is approaching, if you are watching the bison, they will turn and actually run towards that storm. Cows, other animals, other livestock, other wildlife, us will turn and run away from that storm. We want to help you understand, like they do, that as that storm is approaching and as they turn and run through it, they are minimizing the damage done. They're still facing the exact same storm, but as they are running towards that storm, as they're charging head on into it, they are going to get through it faster. What happens when you run away? You actually start running with the storm. Storm blew through Shreveport-Bossier last night or yesterday. By the time I got to Atlanta on my flight out here, we ran through the storm as we caught up to it. I got hit by the same storm twice, actually 3 times. Once in Shreveport, once in the plane, and once in Atlanta, again, as it came back through. I'm going home tonight, and I leave here like 4:35 or whatever, and the Torcon thing, if you watch the Weather Channel, the Torcon thing is like 5 at home tonight. I'm like, that's encouraging. I'm going to run face first into that storm on an airplane tonight. Hopefully, if it's going to be that bad, they're smart enough to leave us in Atlanta. And I'll figure it out, get home safely. But we are designed naturally to have the fear and intimidation when we face life storms that makes us want to get away from it. We don't realize, though, that when we face them, if we just face them head on, a lot of the stuff that we struggle with, a lot of the things that we deal with will be minimized a lot. Yes, it will hurt. It will hurt up front, but but the flip side of that is that we prolong the inevitable, which is facing it at some point in time. And by that time, it is much worse than we ever should have had to ever deal with. Following me? I want to ask a question, though, and this is kind of funny. Speaking of cows, bison, livestock, what is one thing that all of those things do? They poop. Probably weren't expecting that. Yeah, they all take a big crap somewhere. One of the quotes that I love is that one of the prettiest plants I ever saw was growing right out of the middle of a pile of manure. Anybody in this room, and you don't have to raise your hand, but I do want you to be honest over the next 30 minutes with yourself. Anybody ever feel like you're just living in the crap show? Like your life right now, or has been, or is the crap show? If that's you today, I want you to press in a little bit. I want to tell a story, and if you want to go to that next picture. This picture, not that one, I don't know when that picture was taken. The picture that you're going to see at some point in time was taken back in Christmas of 2017. I posted said picture on October 28th, 2018 on Facebook. Not that one. Oh, sorry. My bad, that was my fault. I forgot to tell you to go to that quote. That quote that I just talked about was back there. Now this is the picture I'm talking about. So that picture was taken back in December of 2017, this is my little family. Fun fact, don't tie your dog to a sapling thinking that your 50-pound bull boxer it will hold it, especially if somebody has come along and cut the sapling or cut the tree and they didn't take it anywhere, it's still standing there. Because the minute that she tried to get away, guess what? That dog pulled the tree down. Man, I say sapling, I mean, it's about yay big around. Pulled the tree down, literally, and now she thinks that thing's chasing her because it's attached to her leash. And she runs head on into oncoming traffic and all that. So my dog was saved by the grace of God. And she's still with us today. But that was our little family. I posted this picture on social media with this caption. It's long. I'm going to read it in part. So bear with me here. This picture was taken Christmas of 2017. In it, I can honestly say that I'm joyful and happy. But this is not the first pic I took that looked like I was happy. So let's rewind about 4 years prior to this. During this time period, roughly age 27 to age 31 for myself, yes, I'm dating myself, I was trying desperately to dig myself out of a pretty dark place. On the outside, it all looks okay. I'm married, on staff at a church at the time, solid family around me, good friends, etc. Inside, I feel like I am dying. My dad's gone to prison. My mom has been sick. We lost 2 babies to miscarriage, add a 3rd one to that now. Everything I thought was normal was falling apart. I'm codependent. I'm a people pleaser. I'm angry. I'm severely depressed. I punch walls. Yes, I did that. And I feel alone. Alone in my thoughts, alone in my situation, just flat out alone. My wife sees it, my friends see it, my coworkers see it, but on top of the feelings, I'm working my rear end off to hide it all and hold it together, because that's what, at that time I was working for a church, that's what a good minister does, that's what a good leader does, that's what a good person does, that's what a good husband does, that's what a good wife does. You hide it and you push it all down. That's what a good NCO does, that's what a good officer does. Fill in the blank with whatever title you have. That's what you do. You push it all down, you hold yourself together, because you've got to be strong for everybody else. I'm assuming because you're sitting in a leadership conference, you want to lead people. And we do have the tendency to want to lead people with at the expense of the leader. I realized that was a big fat lie, by the way, and holding it together just multiplied exponentially the pressure that I put on myself. One fateful night, my beautiful wife, patient, loving, walked into our extra bedroom to find me sitting there with my loaded 12-gauge shotgun sitting in my lap. That night I learned what that shotgun tastes like. The pressure, the heartache, the hurt, the shame, I realized that, okay, I've royally screwed up, and I don't know how I'm going to get myself out of it. Again, I was running. I didn't want to face it. I didn't know, or I didn't believe that it was okay. And I was ready to end it all. Luckily, she walked in. Luckily, she walked in. I didn't feel as anybody else got it. I didn't want to fake it anymore. I didn't want to be a burden to anyone. I just wanted the pain to end. It was very real. So next slide, I want you to realize this truth right here. Your mistakes do not deserve the sacrifice of your mental, relational, physical, emotional, and or spiritual health. The things you've done, the boneheaded mistakes you've made, the whatever you feel, the mess that you might feel your life is right now, they do not deserve the sacrifice of these things in your life. Because guess what? these things are the things that are going to, that nobody else is going to fight for you more than yourself. Other people will fight for it, but they will not and they cannot fight more than you. Go to the next slide. Here's one of the problems, though. One of the leading causes of suicide today is the fact that people feel as if they have no safe place to open up and be completely seen. While I did go through the counseling, the getting help, the life changes, all that stuff, while I did go through all of those things, I'm telling you, the thing that saved my life was my wife and a few close friends. Was being seen, was not being judged, was not, or it was being open. The word vulnerable means being in a position where other people can hurt you. It means expressing the sides of yourself about which you have the least confidence or certainty, and allowing others to respond to them. That is probably the weirdest feeling on the planet. That vulnerability, that legs shaking, deer in the headlights look, the feeling that I don't know what to do with myself, and I'm about to say something here that, you know what, is going to expose me. But guess what? Before you say it, a lot of the times other people have seen it, and they already know something's going on, and they just want you to know it. They want you to know that they know it, and they want you to know that they care about you. They are begging you to break down those walls and to be vulnerable. They're begging you to. Last night, I am sitting in the airport, and I'm the type, don't tempt me with a good time, and I'll charge hell with a water pistol, usually getting myself in trouble sometimes. By this time, my ADHD medication had worn off, because if I took it that late, I would not have slept last night. But I take medication, not ashamed. Where's my other ADHDers? A lot of them are probably back here ready to talk to you. But I get a phone call from a buddy of mine who is stationed now in Montgomery. And I kid you not, I had a 2.5-hour layover in Atlanta. I had just gotten to my gate for the next one. I'm sitting there waiting. And I kid you not, I almost went and got me a rental car and just drove to Montgomery and then drove down here this morning. I didn't, almost did. Why? Because he was not literally, but I could tell as I talked to him on the phone, everything inside of him was dying. And he was desperate for help. And he wasn't getting the help. Now, am I some sort of special thing or savior? No. But when my wife, who talks me back into reality a lot of times, helped me understand that even though that probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, was to just jump in a car and drive and all that and whatever, and said use my time wisely and probably go see him this weekend or something like that. All he needed and all he was needing was somebody to sit and look at him and tell him, I got you. Not it's going to be okay, not all the cliches, not all the platitudes and stuff that we say when we don't know what to do with people who are struggling, or we don't know what to say when we're struggling. He just needs somebody to sit there and love him through everything that he is going to face as he fights for his own healing. I get on my flight. I get to here, sitting on the airport, turned my phone back on, saw somebody posted something on Facebook, y'all pray for me, and I'm not gonna lie, this dude don't ask for prayer. Like, he has never really believed in that. So I was like, okay, something is really going on if you're asking for prayer. Message him, he's overseas. His marriage is ending. Has no idea what's going to happen. I'm laying there last night and I'm missing my family back home, and I can't imagine being overseas and not being able to know what's coming when I come home in a few months and not being able to do anything. And I know that's real experiences that people in this room have probably experienced. Those are just two things that have happened in my world just in the past 12 hours. I don't share that to glorify problems. I share that to show two examples of people who were vulnerable, who realized that I don't even know what I'm looking for, but I just need somebody to care. And myself, who learned from experience that I don't know what I have to give, but I just care. So back to my post. You know what made the difference? I've already said this. People. I wrote this. You can go read it. People who paid attention to me and loved me deeply through the hell that was my reality. My wife was not scared of my suicidal thoughts. She simply didn't play games with me. She told me how it was, helped me get help, and loved and supported me like I've never seen. Anybody, any husbands in here have a wife that can beat you up? I do. I'm scared of her. I kid you not. I'm scared of her. She don't play. She don't play. I'm glad when we started the network that she was in nursing school and she wasn't really paying attention, because she likes details. And if I didn't have details and all of that, anyway, I ain't got time to talk about all that stuff. Our personalities are so opposite, it's not even funny. Opposites definitely do attract. But she and all of her type A personality that she was knew enough to know I don't have to say a word except just care. And by care, I mean just be there. Now, as time progressed, she walked out her giftedness, which is very strong, very independent. She don't need me at all. I'm married to her because she wants me. Sometimes I'm married to her because we signed a contract. And she just won't kick me out, thank God. But when we find the right people around us, this becomes reality. What saved me was the normal people that God himself used and placed right there in the thick of it with me. They didn't make me feel like I was crazy. They didn't make me feel like I was messed up. They ran in and were just there. Did I have to own where I was? Absolutely. Yes, that's another story for another day. No, it's not. You want to be the leader that people follow, and you want to know the number one way to face your storm? Own it. Own where you are. Own your mistakes. Fess up to your stupid, boneheaded mistakes, or own your hurt feelings, own your hard times, own whatever it is. And I promise you, in the long run, you will win when you own the mistakes that you make, big or small. And you will win because that will build integrity. And when you have integrity, and that's free, it's not even in these notes, that when you have integrity, you can face anything with anybody, because your integrity goes before you and speaks a language that you can't even begin to. So why do I say all this? Why do I post this? What's the point of me standing up here today? It's because I want you to know that your feelings are okay. I want you to know that there are other people who have felt that way, and it's okay if you feel that way right now. I want you to know that there is restoration and healing that does exist on the other side of your greatest failures and your darkest and weakest moments. I want you to know that that it is okay to raise your hand and say, I am one of those people who have struggled, and I have thought things that I don't like thinking about. I have said things I don't like saying. I have made mistakes, and they have pushed me to a place where I don't even know how I got here. It is okay to raise your hand and say you're there or you have been there. Why? Because if you have been there and you've experienced anything like what I have, which is healing and growth, and you have now been given a story and a tool that is the greatest thing that I believe that we have to fight suicide. And yes, there is an epidemic going on inside the military, and there is only so much that leadership from the top down can do to fight it. If we don't respond, if we don't realize that our responsibility in it is to take our experiences, our stories, and use them to help other people. And it does not mean walking up on a stage and talking about it. Again, this has been brewing since 2017. Before that, and let me go post it on Facebook, that had been brewing since 2014. And now, today, let's go to that next slide. When you get through hugging your problem to death, stand on it and preach from it. Today, well, at the time of this writing, my dad was still in prison. We still struggled with the whole baby thing. Death had taken more from us in the past few years than we ever could think about. We were honestly in grief counseling every single week. I was on medication. The struggle was real, but the hope was real as well. Fast forward to today, like right now, February 15th, 2023 at 10:19, and I have 1 minute before y'all are supposed to ask questions. My dad has passed away. I've had to learn boundaries. I've had to deal with all kinds of coping and all that stuff. I've had to go through counseling. I still go to counseling. We have, antidepressants. I lost 3 friends just this past year. I'm 39, and I had to officiate 2 funerals. One of them was 42, the other one was 33, and next Friday, I'm officiating a funeral for a 27-year-old airman who got out of the military, went to be a cop in California, and got shot last September and killed. 3 of my friends, younger or a little older than me and 2 younger, that have died. But, my wife almost died herself back in 2020. But there is not a week that goes by that I don't get to sit and talk to some airman, some warrior, about something that's happened in my life. There's not a week that goes by. And you can throw all the programs that we do with the military and stuff, you can throw all that stuff out the window. That is why I do what I do. I have the realest relationships that I didn't even begin to think were possible. And let me just get practical there. And this is something I'm learning about military culture. One of my best friends, I don't know where he is sitting in the room, yesterday was the second time I've ever seen him in my life. I saw him face to face for the first time a little over a year and a half ago, probably. And we had known each other through some of the stuff that he had done through his own work as Chief Barnshaw, wherever he might be. We had known each other through some of the work that he had been doing as the network was growing and as his stuff was growing, Quarantine University, all that stuff. We connected. And we knew each other for probably 2 years before ever seeing each other face to face. So do not tell me that relationships have to be face to face or cannot survive distance or anything like that. Do not tell me that you have to be sitting next to the person that is your help. You might be, but they come in places where you never expected. I get to fight alongside the best team for your good. And the first time I ever met Jason Barnshaw, about a year and a half ago, this picture right here was taken because we were down here at the beach hanging out. That's my little girl. Now she's 2.5, 3 years old. That's my wife, who almost died giving birth to her. And that's me, and that smile is real. And it's not real because we finally got a kid It's not real because of anything, any blessing that we got, other than the fact that we now have a story that we get to see used, and I hope is used for the good of you each and every day. And that is the other major point of what helped me, and that was my purpose. And that purpose, I'm looking at it. It's not a stage. It's not a microphone. I don't like this. When Jason and them called me to come do this, I almost threw up. I almost threw up back there. I told somebody, I think I'm supposed to throw up. My purpose is you. So if you're here today, my flight leaves at 4:30-ish. I'm gonna hang out there during lunch. If you need to talk, come talk. If you need to talk to somebody, come talk to somebody. There's people around here. What's your story? And how can you use it, even if it's still, and it is still being written? Because this story is still being written. And I might find myself tomorrow needing you. Because it ain't a one-way street, it's a two-way street. The same people who we get to help now, we get to help, and they still are the ones who help me a lot of times. So, what's your story? How can you be the catalyst for action? And that's what I want. Authenticity, real life. This is real life. I don't care what rank you are. I don't care what uniform. I don't care. And y'all can't get on to me because I'm not in the military. I guess y'all never asked me back, but I don't care. I ain't worried about this. I'm worried about what's on the inside. That's where life change happens. And I thank God himself that I get to be a part of the culture that we want to create, where you are storm chasing, storm charging influencers who are out there actively making a difference. So, questions. Forgive me for going over time, and thank you for being a little shorter so I could steal a little hard time. How are we doing questions? I'm done. Oh, hold on. I'm not done. ADD moment. That right there. Margaret Mead said it best. Never doubt what a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world, because it's the only thing that ever has. No, that is a statement. I forgot that it was my end slide. That's a statement. That's a fact. And there's what, 300 or 400 of you sitting in this room? It's a lot of small. It's a big group. Makes a lot of small groups. And if you, I mean, come on. The world can radically be different by you. So, now, questions.
I have a question. It says, how do you balance being a leader, being in charge of a team, with being empathetic for the struggles your team members are facing, both in and out of work?
Oh, Lord. How do you balance? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You can't lead them if you don't first let your actions show that you genuinely care about them. And it's the little things. Get to know them, get to know who they are, get to know what they're about, get to know their hobbies, their joys, and then when they're there, take care of them. When they have a need, take care of them. Help figure out what it is that you can do to push them to be better. Serve them, care for them. When you serve them, you are leading them. There's no greater leader than a servant leader. And you will then both open doors, I believe you'll open doors for them to, at the exact same time, respect you as a leader, but also be able to get to that place where you can be yourself with them too. Make sense? I know that's a hard thing to navigate in the military world. It really is, sir. That answered that question? That's just off the top of my head, so. Anything else?
Yes.
Okay.
To overcome your problems, what is the most impactful change you had to seek from within yourself, and how did you determine the root cause?
We a lot of times are our own worst enemy. I knew what the problem was. People told me what the problem was. I had to get honest with myself and realize that I have a problem. And for me, it was seeking people's approval. I mean, I still struggle with that. I did not want people to not like me. I didn't want people to be upset with me or anything like that. That's a very long story, but yeah, I cared about what everybody thought of me. It would mean that I would sacrifice my family. It would mean that I would sacrifice everything on the altar of anybody who had a need. So I had to let my wife speak truth to me and tell me that I was sacrificing everything on the altar of everybody. And I had to realize that what my priorities were. And when my daughter was born, I had to define 3 priorities of my life. And because I know that I have these issues, and I know that I'll give myself to any good cause, anything like that, I had to determine what it was for me that made me joyful, that made me happy. My family, this, and my church. Those are 3 things I love. Yours will be different. That also meant, when I said boundaries earlier, that if it did not fall into one of those 3 categories, it was pretty much an obvious no. And that helped me realize that I could give the best of me to what deserved the best of me. Anything else?
We just have time for one more question.
Okay.
It says, you spoke on boundaries. What are your personal boundaries you set to be resilient for others? How do you take this all on and stay sane?
I just answered it. I mentioned my dad dying. For my family, for my daughter, he met her once. I had to set up some major boundaries even there. I learned that through counseling, and I learned that that was okay. So if there is something coming against you that is unhealthy for you, and it is a person, a thing, a habit, whatever, do not be afraid to set up boundaries for yourself that protect yourself and your family and the things that you value. Your boundaries will be born out of the things that you value, because when you have things that come against the values that you have in your life, that is where a boundary needs to be set. And one of the ways you do that is by, big picture, define the things in your life that you care about. And get down. Define your mission. And when you can, then it will help you see that, okay, these things get the best of me. Those boundaries that I have that protect those 3 things are not bad. They're actually good, because it allows me to do this. And because I also have one of those priorities is my family, it also means that here at 4:30, I'm getting on the plane when I could have spent the night again and gone to the beach and hung out and stuff like that, or hung out with whatever, where I could have just taken some time for me. No, one of my priorities is my family, so it means I'm getting on a plane, I'm going back to be with my family. Not because I have to get back to work and stuff tomorrow. No, this is, I guess you could say, work. But because I care about you, here I am. Because I care about them, I'm going there. Nothing else is going to get in the way of that, because those are my priorities. And a simple no to those things, other things, means that I have freedom to do this. And yes, that will protect your sanity a lot. And you can learn that it is okay to say no. It is okay to say no to protect yourself. Now, I don't recommend going and telling that supervisor that you can't stand. I would find a nice, respectful way to enforce boundaries in a nice, respectful way that doesn't get you in trouble. Don't be a jerk. I'll leave you with that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Trey. There's a movie, Disney Pixar movie called Robots. And in that movie, there's a notable quote that says, "See a need, fill a need." And I believe that Trey's life's work is doing just that.